You walk into a data engineering interview feeling confident, ready to go. The hiring manager smiles and asks, "Can you explain the difference between SCD Type 1, 2, and 3? You freeze. And that 120K job that you're gunning for? Gone. It's like a knight showing up to a battle with a butter knife instead of a sword. You might swing it around, but no one is going to believe that you belong on the battlefield. And stick around, because I'm going to give you 2 real-world interview questions I've actually asked candidates when hiring, along with the kind of answers that you need to get an offer. Here's the truth. SCD questions are a litmus test. If you don't know them, I don't think that you've done any real data work, and your interviewer will assume that you're bluffing the rest of your interview. But the good news is that is fixable. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you exactly what you need to walk in ready. So, what exactly is a SCD? And why does every data engineer interview seem to have it on speed dial? Here is the crash course that you need before you ever step into that interview. 1, know the definition. SCD stands for slowly changing dimension. It's how you handle the updates to dimension data over time in your data warehouse. If these terms are already confusing you, again, don't step into that interview. Check out the book down in the comments by Ralph Kimball that talks about data warehousing, because he is the grandfather of data engineering. Second step, understand these 3 types. There are more out there, but these are the 3 that you're going to be quizzed on in your interview. Type 1. You're going to overwrite the old data, and there's no history kept. You're just overwriting everything all the time. Type 2, keep the full history with your new rows for your changes. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in a moment. Type 3, limited history, usually with the previous and the current value columns. Number 3, use a real-world example. Think customer address changes. Do you overwrite? Do you keep the full history, or do you store just the old and the new values? Number 4, talk implementation. Whether it's SQL, dbt, or an ETL tool, have a short, clear example ready for your interviewer. And remember, when you're answering technical interview questions, use the STAR method. That's situation, task, action, and result. Give them the context, tell them what you had to do, and explain exactly what you did and how it impacts the business is a big level up here. It keeps those answers clear, complete, and memorable for your interviewer. Here is your first real-world interview question. Recently, I've asked this in an interview. How would you handle a scenario where a customer's email address changes, but you need to keep the history of old addresses for compliance? I'd use a type 2 slowly changing dimension. I'd add in a new row with the updated email, mark the old row as expired with an end date, and set an active flag for the current record. That way, I could query the table for both current state and historical states when needed. Here's a second real-world interview question that I've asked recently. Tell me the difference between SCD Type 1 and SCD Type 2, and give me an example where you've chosen one over the other, and explain to me why. Okay, here's your suggested answer. Type 1 overwrites the old data and doesn't keep the history. Type 2 adds a new row for each change and keeps the full history with the effective dates. For example, if I'm updating a product description that's just fixing a typo, I'd go with Type 1 because the old value is not important. But if I'm tracking a customer's loyalty tier changes over time for analytics, I'd go with Type 2 so that we could see when and how they move between the tiers. Choosing Type 2 also ensures that our reporting stays accurate over time and that we could meet audit requirements if we need to show those historical states. If you can explain SCDs fluently and back it up with relevant examples, you instantly signal that you've done real data modeling work. That matters in production systems. Don't just memorize textbook definitions. Interviewers can smell YouTube cramming a mile away, so be ready to walk them through how you have actually implemented these things in real production scenarios. And what challenges you ran into, because they're out there. Once you've mastered SCDs and you're ready for that job offer, be sure to watch this video on how to negotiate your next salary. Don't leave thousands on the table just because you didn't know what to ask for.